recording here, and I think I was recording on Audacity. Yeah, everything looks good to go. Video and audio.
When you send me the Audacity, can you cut off like from before this?
Yeah, you want me to like edit it till it's to the start?
Yeah, because I'm just gonna throw it up how
Mm-hmm.
you sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably an episode where we're just like there's a lot of preamble.
Yeah. I'll just chop it off.
All right, welcome to Does It Get Better? I'm Neil Rubenstein.
I'm Rich.
Uh, we've decided on topics. So today we're gonna discuss spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess like just definition wise, I don't know the clinical or anything. Well, just for listeners new, everyone's new, right?
Yeah.
So this is like a kind of like a mental health podcast. We're trying to basically, Rich is trying to talk me out of suicide. That's basically that's
Well,
basically what it
the
is.
stakes just got higher. I'm glad you told me. Thanks.
Not really, but kind of. I was at I'm at a pretty low point, and Rich was like, "Well, just talk to me once a week." And
Mm-hmm.
then someone was like, "Make it a podcast," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a pretty public person. That'd be fun."
That's
And
fun.
like I just started like journaling a little bit, and people were like, "Oh, like it helps. It helps me to read what you're going through, and I know that it helps me to read what other people are going through. So, maybe this helps some people. I don't know, talk about their feelings or whatever, because like we're not supposed guys who look like me and Rich aren't supposed to have emotion.
Exactly.
I'm already I'm the worst.
No, you're not. You're fine.
Spiraling is kind of like your rational brain knows that you drop a cup on the floor, and then it's like your rational brain is like, pick up the cup, if there's a spill, wipe up the spill and get back to your day.
Yeah.
uh Depression doesn't let you do that.
Right. And depression mixed with anxiety too,
Yeah,
for sure.
so you dropped just now I dropped a Tupperware dish on the floor. My wife just vacuumed. uh
You were about to give up. You were like, I don't want to do
yeah,
this. And
I
I
like
saw it like as soon as it happened. I was like, oh no. That was a prime example though.
yeah, because for those who don't know, no one really, I guess no one knows who I am. uh I broke my ankle a few weeks ago, so I'm in a cast, and I can't, because of my weight, I can't even like do like normal stuff. Like people can hop around on one leg, but my other leg can't support my weight
Uh,
for long periods of time. So like I can make it to the bathroom, and then like I'm winded. Um, Getting out to the car is like it took it takes a half hour. I got to go up the stairs butt first. I got to sit down halfway up the driveway. It's
you're in a rough predicament at the moment, and it's weighing on a lot of different aspects of your physical and mental well-being for sure.
yeah. So my wife's vacuuming, and then I dropped the oh man, crumbs. I'm a piece of shit. She, she's working her ass off, and then this is what I do. I spill crumbs on the floor but even she's like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Relax. But it's too late. The depression won.
Mm-hmm.
So you just spiral, and it's just like all the all the irrational things that it leads to, because your rational brain isn't driving anymore. It's this other thing, and that's what spiraling is. And I think that's probably the worst part about it, right? I don't know. What do you think?
It's for me. I mean, it is very similar. It was like the worst part about spiraling for me was how do I snap out of it? And before I started getting help, it was a physical reaction onto myself because there was no other way to get out of it. I was like, okay, I think I told this story last time. I was moving my bookshelf, and the toys fell.
No, I don't recall.
So I was in my old apartment, like over last summer. I was moving my bookshelf, and I had a bunch of those pop figures on it, and because I was like, never do anything like the easiest way. I was like, oh, I'm just going to leave a few things on it and I'll just drag it over. And of course I get it halfway across the room and all the toys fall off. And so all the toys falling off made me think, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Why didn't you just take the toys off to begin with? And the next step was to pick up one of the toys and throw it across the room and break it. And then, okay, so then I broke it, and I'm like, well, I liked that thing. You're a stupid idiot. Why did you just break it? And then I pushed the bookshelf over, and here I am, like, now all this stuff's broken, and the only way to come out of it is to like physically take it out of myself. And then once I do that, that was my end result, and it was scary because it was something that I was hiding, but it was like the end result was like physical harm unto myself, because that's the only thing that made me feel like it put a period at the end of that sentence,
Right.
The toy fell, and then it ends up like being, you're a stupid idiot. You only deserve like the harm unto yourself. Like that's what solves it. And I mean, that's a spiral. It was just like literally like bad thought after bad thought. You're a stupid idiot. Now that's broken. You can't fix it. It was a gift, blah, 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 blah. And then the worst part, I think, was the fact that the end result made me feel better. Like the physical harm I did to myself, whether it be minor or major, it actually made me feel better in the end. And I knew it was a wrong thing to be doing. And that was one of the scariest parts of it. And that was one of the things I couldn't control at all, because my brain was in such a spot of, I've talked about before, the cat passing away.
Yeah.
And that was my trigger. That was the impetus of everything. It was just this like thought of, you messed up that one thing, therefore everything you mess up is going to be as awful, if not more than that. So that's one of the things I had to still work on, being like, you know what, not the end of the world. And I think this basement getting full of water was a test for me that I talked about last time.
And you handled it?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the works. It's going to be a big deal. It's not going to be an easy situation to get through, but the insurance guy came, the cleaning crew came, and step by step we're figuring it out. So if I didn't get help and I wasn't in this place I am now, which is way better, this would have been like, again, the end of the world. So I actually looked up real quick what the kind of definition of spiral is, just to kind of give it like a professional definition. It says the anxiety spiral, also known as catastrophic thinking or magnifying, often occurs alongside anxiety and depression. Think of your brain as a rocky mountain. One single distressing thought loosens and an avalanche of related anxieties start. So,
yep,
makes sense.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do as far as trying to put a period at the end? I mean, I feel like you internalize it at the end, and you unknowingly use it for next time. It's like ammunition for your brain.
Yeah, when I'm going good, I can like talk myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm going good.
Oh, that's good.
When I'm not going good, just now I needed external sources, like you and Kathleen both confirming, dude,
it's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Tupperware.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I used to be really good at it because I worked in a bar full time for quite a long time. And working in the service industry, things get dropped. You know, you drop a bottle of something, or you a plate or whatever. You know, like things happen, accidents happen, and I was really good at recovering. This was pre-incident, like this is pre me kind of being in that bad spot. But I always was like, you know, drop a glass when you're cleaning or cleaning up. Never, ever, ever did I have any other reaction but clean it up and move on. And of course, and you know, when it's busy, you have like a whole bunch of eyes on you and people will be like, oh no, you know, like those reactions, like I never ever let that energy feed me as negatively. Right. It was always just like, there's another bottle right here, I'm gonna clean it up and I'm just gonna move on. It was so easy for me.
Yeah. But
when you have a traumatizing event that pinpoints a very different emotional response that you didn't react to in a way that you're accustomed to, all of those things, then like when I went back to work and I did something that, you know, dropped a bottle or glass broke, it manifested in this okay, well now you have to worry about it and somebody's gonna get mad at you.
But it's not even like just like, because if I had dropped that in a, like, if I had dropped something somewhere else, it wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it was the fact that, like, I did it to someone else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, now someone else has to be responsible for this. Right. And I think that's really what's been going on lately. Why
you feel like a burden, I think, right?
Yeah, because I'm like a proud guy and always did everything, you know, like very independent, DIY and self-starter and a leader, and you know, and then it's just like
well, you know, this was important for me too once I started getting help dealing with that was, and I told somebody this earlier too, which was you have people, you have a support system that you can be like, yo, let me just talk for a second. Let me talk about music because it'll help me not think about the Tupperware that I dropped. And right. I think those tiny little interactions that have nothing to do with anything help the brain, like it's like a pressure release valve. You know what I mean? Like, oh, did you hear that new thing? Let's just talk about this or whatever. Did you hear about this thing, that thing? That was something for me that took a little while to understand, that people are your friends and family. The people that are in your circle are there to help you, and they should be there to help you through that kind of thing because that's what they're there for. But I also agree. I was like, I didn't reach out for help because I felt exactly like that, like a burden. Like nobody's going to want to listen to my problems. Nobody's going to want to take the time. You know what I mean? It was just like, it's part of that, like that spiral of being like, I'm worthless. Nobody wants to deal with it. But when somebody's like, hey, if you need anything, you should take them up on that. You know what I mean? Like, I never, ever reached out to anybody in my whole life when they were like, hey, if you need anything.
Yeah, me too.
You know? And it's like, we have so many great friends that will listen and be like, yo, it's okay. You know? Hey, it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, that's definitely true. Like, I don't know if I can find it, but someone wrote me the other day and was like, oh, I've been reading your things, whatever. You know, you're so fortunate. You have, you know, great friends and, you know, a strong support system. Like, it'll pass. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, I know, but like, it's when the the disease is driving, there's like
nothing else exists, right? Like you're in that, like the blinder, you're in that moment always.
Yeah, like I dropped the thing. I dropped the thing, and immediately I think, oh, I've disappointed Kathleen,
Mm-hmm.
and not at any point am I like, oh, she loves me so much that she just vacuumed under my cast. Like, like she does all this because she loves you. At no point does that counter
Mm-hmm.
that that in. I mean,
For me, in that state, you're in that stage where I'm familiar. You're in that place where it's like you're not going to let the good stuff, or no, not you, those thoughts in that part of your brain is not going to let the good stuff outweigh or rationalize any of the good. The bad is going to be in the forefront. The exercise that I mentioned, I think, was you have to start, and what helps is you have to start letting or giving those negative things a time and a place, right? Or now you just talked about it. You said it out loud. Or we know that the irrational thought, like the bad stuff that you're thinking about yourself, like I'm an idiot, I should drop that. But Kathleen loves me, and I have a support system here, and little by little, if you exercise it, be like, next time something happens, try to immediately catch yourself and be like, well, last time this happened, nothing worse happened. The Tupperware fell and cleaned it up, and then we did the podcast. You know what I mean? Trying to refer to the prior incidents and be like, okay, well, last time I reacted this way, let me just try to I'm allowed to be and react the way I react. It's normal, right? You're allowed to. But in order to try to fix it, you have to change your way of thinking in the patterns that you get into. Like if you get in the pattern of every time something negative happens, like an accident or you drop whatever, and you think this way every time, it's just going to be a vicious cycle. And the advice I got from my therapist was, like I said, give that negative thought and that negative thinking its time of day, because you still need to get it out, right? You still need to be like, oh man, I feel like an idiot, whatever. And then be like, give it time, give it its place. And then in the end, you're like, but you know what? I ended up getting it cleaned up. I ended up in a spot where I talked about it. I talked through it. And maybe next time I won't feel so bad about myself, That's kind of the method that I've been getting in. I had a little incident with the basement thing, thinking I was a failure and I let my mom down and all these things, like I should have done this better. I should have done that better. I've never been in that position. You know what I mean? I've never owned a house where I would have to think about how I'm going to handle, my basement leaking on a Sunday night at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. It's okay to be upset about something, but it also is like the solution for me is to realize that I've never been in this position, so it was okay to think that way. But guess what? You handle it the way it's supposed to be. You call this person, you get this person involved, and you got to move forward. And it's not like I hate that when people are like, well, just move forward. And it's like totally not acknowledging all of those things before the, hey, just move forward. Like I was sitting on my steps crying, thinking I'm a loser. I let down my mom, and this is going to cost so much money. I'm lonely. I need somebody to talk to. Well, you know what? I did all the steps I was supposed to, and I let the feelings have their moment, and then I moved forward, and then here I am. I'm fine. I did the paperwork, and I'm in a new room in my house until the basement's finished, and I controlled the spiral. You know what I mean? I'm better at it. So the practice, and my advice is the practice makes, the stupid saying, practice makes perfect. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect way to react, but practicing those methods that my therapist helped me with, like give it its time. If you want to cry about it, but also realize that you're not any worse of a person because something happened that you couldn't control. Could you control dropping your Tupperware or whatever? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
But, you
wasn't such a clumsy loser.
Listen, maybe clumsy. Don't you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're clumsy, but you're also like operating at like 25% mobility. So give yourself a break.
Yeah. Just looking at this cast, it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. How long's it got to be on for?
This one, another 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
A half week went by.
It's progress, right?
I feel like I'm carving, like
oh yeah,
notches
the
in a
one,
bedpost. Like,
yeah.
look, and the irrational part of me is aware.
Yeah.
Dude, this is, it's whatever it is, 12 weeks, even if they said I'm healing slow, even if it's 14 weeks, even if it's 16 weeks, it's going to be gone eventually. I'm going to be able to walk again.
Yep.
I'm going to, like, I'll be fine. Like, Tony, or the guy who runs Gov's Radio, he has a prosthetic leg. I have a real leg. What am I complaining about? My friend Dana, she has polio. She offered to lend me her wheelchair. It's like, what am I complaining about? The rational part of me understands, like, totally gets it.
Yes.
The depression is the depression is like, the depression is the problem. I get it. Like, the rational part of me gets it. I understand, like, totally in perspective. I have friends that love me. I have tons of ways to pass the time. My wife's the best in the world. I couldn't ask for better. I got people dropping off food all the time. Christian and those guys got me a DoorDash pass. Jody brought over chicken. The upstairs, the landlord, she brought us meatballs. Like, I got it made. This is the... But the depression is just like...
It's brutal. It's brutal. It really is. The one thing that helps, I think, with what you just said is the fact that, and I also was in the same boat where you almost have two mental personalities. Like, you have that rational part where you're like, this is not how I should be thinking, and I know this, what you just said, but being able to recognize that everything is going to be okay, but also at the same time, that depression is just in the forefront, like kicking that like positive stuff back every time it tries to, it's like, nope, just stay back there. I'm in charge right now. And that's kind of how you have to look at it. The depression's in charge and is in control of how your emotions go and how your mental state is. And it's, again, my wonderful therapist, Mike, he's just like, a lot of the stuff we talked about when I was the worst, when I was like first talking and everything was just such like a blur for me. After he learned about what my situation was and what brought me to feeling so bad, he said, it's like, you really have to work on control. What's in your control, what's out of your control, and what you want to make in your control, right? So it's nothing is magically going to happen if you don't, recognize and work on. Obviously, that's for everything. It's like, you're never going to get better at guitar if you don't practice. You're never going to get better at writing if you don't write, So it's the same exercise with your reactions to negative thinking. I tried this new project with my baking and stuff, and it was just like I held myself accountable for it. And if anything was going to be out of my control, like I have to do a bunch of stuff now. If I want to legitimize everything, I have to get permits and I have to get this, I have to get that.
Yeah.
It can happen, and it's going to happen. And I would have never felt this way 6 to 8 to 12 months ago because I thought everything was out of my control. I thought everything was just like, no, I can't do that because why? Because that's what I thought. But now here I am, like having, using my brain, using my mental energy to put into this little thing that I'm doing. And I looked like, made a phone call to a nonprofit. They're going to help me get my forms. A friend of mine reached out. She knows this, that, and the other person. You know what I mean? So utilizing what's around you that's positive kills the depression little by little, and it doesn't have as much power to, or it doesn't have much control to keep all those positive thoughts behind anymore, you know?
Is pain another word for bread?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All bon pain.
It's pain, not pan. It's pain.
Yeah.
Huh.
Pan, I think, is maybe Spanish. I mean, yeah.
I'm Googling it.
Yeah, it's the French one. It's a play on that chain, All Bon Pain. And it's a play on a lot of different things, but
Yeah, pain. Huh.
look at that. Bread puns.
Bread puns. We used to make fun of that chain. I don't know. We used to make fun of it. Be like, oh, good pain. It's crazy, man, because, like, I think back, like, try to, like, analyze, like, just, like, life, my whole life, and, like, where did it start, or has it gotten better? And, like, I've gotten, like, I used to have, like, temper tantrums.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as an adult, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I just would, like, lash out so aggressively. And, like, they're really nothing more than temper tantrums.
Right.
And, like, I still feel them where I'm just like, oh, I want to knock that dude's block off. You know what I mean? Like, that's a temper tantrum. That's like, and like road rage, like it's a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's
I
also
can't have my way, man.
and it's also it's a lot of repressed other things, you know. That's it's like it manifests in like I want to pull over and take my bat out from under my seat and smash that guy's windshield because he zoomed around me in traffic, you know. But like really, where's that coming from? You know, there's deep rooted things in those instant, like I agree. It's like little things it'll manifest, you know, like.
But how do you deal with those little, like, how do you, like, so I saw, you ever watch This Life or This Is Life with Lisa Ling?
No. Oh,
It's like
yes.
or some show on some journalisty kind of thing.
Yeah. She follows people around doing their
Yeah. So the episode Kathleen and I watched the other day was like, I mean, I don't watch them religiously, but when Kathleen's watching them, if I'm in the room, which I for the past few weeks, for the next 10 weeks, I will be in the room.
I like to think that you've been in that spot from the time that we talked last. You just are pretty much right there.
Dude, I go from here to here, to there, to there, to there, and then I go lay down. At like 11 o'clock, I go lay down in bed. I'm awake all night. I go pee twice, and then at like 1 p.m., I emerge from the bedroom, and I just 4 or 5 seats. We have a love seat here, a love seat there, and then a chair, and I just back and all day just here until I get uncomfortable, and then I go here, and then I get uncomfortable, and then I hobble over there.
The great migration from that cushion to the other cushion.
Sometimes I stand up. Sometimes I stand up, and Kathleen's like, "Where you going?" And I'm like, "I just need to stand." And then my leg's like, "Okay, we're done standing," and I'm like, "All right, let's sit back down." The episode of This Is Us with Lisa Ling. They go to like some, like, it's like a camp for troubled boys, and it's like, first of all, they're like talking about like getting rid of like the toxic masculinity, but then it's all like physical activities. So it's like, all right, well, that's not really what you're doing.
Right.
But the they do this thing, this like aggro thing to like get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need help, and then they do this like screaming, pushing exercise. And it's like there's got to be another way to get it out. You know what I mean? Like when I feel that coming on, when I'm like, oh, I want to murder that dude. Like, what do I do with that? What do I do with that to keep it from getting like spirally, or to keep me from doing something stupid? You know, like how do you avoid the spiral before it starts? Like, I know you were talking about like putting a period at the end of it to end it, but how do you nip it in the bud?
Well, after I experienced enough of them to know how awful I felt when I let it get out of control. That's what I think of now. I think of when I gave myself a black eye and realizing many,
or like doing something else.
Always fists. It was just always just like, well, most of the time. But like sitting there doing that enough to myself where I gave myself a black eye, and then sitting there after and like going to the bathroom being like, how am I going to explain? Because it was hiding all this. Like, it was just like, it was mostly like my fists or my knuckles, like a whatever. And I could be like, oh, I scraped myself at work or whatever, make some shit up. But at the end, you do it enough times, and I'm like, it's more and more that you do it, the more and more I realize how quote unquote crazy I am. And what we were just talking about being like, the rational part of you is like, this is not normal. Stop doing that. But the other part is like, but if I do it, I feel better. But basically, when I did it enough and then I started talking about it and understanding the behavior was not correct, and it's going to continue to be a negative impact on the rest of your life if you continue doing that. So I had to recognize how bad it made me feel and accept that. So now when I start to feel that way and feel something coming on, even if it's little, like a road rage thing, or like, a friend said something shitty or whatever, like I mess up a batch of dough even, it's like, what do I really get out of spiraling? What do I get out of it? And that's what I look at now. I'm like, nothing. I'm going back to that, what I talked about. Remember when I was at the bar and like I drop a bottle of some shit? It doesn't matter. I could let it matter, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. At the end of the day, what did that matter? Okay, it cost the bar an extra $6.
All right, but here's the like, to me, there's a very like an intrinsic problem with the it doesn't matter mindset. Because for me, I go all the way. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. I might as well be dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I end up.
Right.
Like, none of this matters. I've known none of this matters. None of this matters.
Right.
I couldn't give a shit about any of this stuff.
Right.
Put me in a hole. Why am I here? You know what I mean? So that's like, not just for everybody. I'm not suicidal. I know not to do it. Just don't.
You have a very negative opinion on life, living.
Me? I am pragmatic. I am not as hopeful as other people.
Sure. So. But what matters, obviously, is that you bring. I mean, you're a fucking comedian. You bring laughter to people.
You want the list of famous comedians who have?
I know. You everybody, and whenever all that happens, it's like, oh my god, you would never have thought, right? Right, exactly.
Oh, but you would have thought. I think all the time. I'm
Right.
like, oh, for sure.
But you're here, we're here. I don't want to start talking like this, but it's for, I mean, we're here for a reason. I never thought this way, but, and it's not like a religious thing or I'm like crazy woo woo or whatever, but I mean, we're here, you're here, I'm here. The people listening are here in existence for a reason. And you have all those people around you that you've affected, and we all have people that we affected. You know, you make people laugh. That's what you enjoy doing, and people enjoy you making them laugh. You know, that's what matters. You know, the thing that you put out into the universe. I mean, I'm kind of big on just thinking that way now. Like, if I put positive stuff out into the universe, a little bit of positivity will come back to me. It took a long time for me to like say that out loud, and I know it's like some people don't like hearing that. Oh, that's what are you, some sort of hippie? You dirty hippie? You know, like no. But the more times I put positivity out, the more times I get it back. The last week and a half with this bread thing that I've been doing, the more positivity that I've been just throwing out, the more I've been getting back. So that helps my mental state. That helps me doing stuff that's positive, and that helps me like address an issue like when my basement starts leaking. I wasn't like, yay, my basement's leaking, everything's fine. No, I cried on my steps. But the positivity that was fed to me over the past little, I mean, it's even more than the last week and a half. It's an extreme example, but it's a different place than I was a year ago. What I mean, is it December? All right, let's say 9 months ago when everything really was starting to go really bad. You have to accept any positivity, and when you get people to laugh, right? When you make a joke and it hits, right, and people laugh, and the whole room laughs, how does that make you feel? It doesn't matter. Oh, it's a thumbs up. I thought you were like, I don't know. Yeah, it makes you feel good, right? Say the word. It makes you feel good, right? Yeah.
Oh, you want, Rich?
Well,
yeah, it makes you feel good, man. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, but I've always felt like I've always wanted to like entertain, like like in whatever facet, or like be the facilitator of a good times. Like even when I'm not in a band or I'm not the comedian, like, you know, my jobs were always like booking events, or like when I was a tour manager, it was always like, you know, make sure the guys are having fun when they're not working. You know what I mean? Like reward them for a job well done. Like, all right, you guys did all your bullshit press and you out here without your wives. Like, you know, let's have a good time tonight after, you know, whatever. I don't know. Just, I've always felt that way. Like, I just want like everyone to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
We share that very, very closely. Like, I just want everybody happy around me.
I think that helps me, I guess, hide it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If everyone's enjoying themselves, I can't be miserable.
Yeah.
And this pandemic's just like taking its toll on everyone, you know? And like, everyone's locked in their home or out of work forever, and it's just like,
you gotta find a thing. Not even saying like a hobby, like a new thing, like taking up like crocheting or something like that. I'm just like, find a break in the routine, because I think that's one of the big factors for people, is that like what you're saying, being trapped at home. When all my shit was going really south, it was because I was trapped at home with my thoughts. And how am I going to get out of this? How can this change? This is really bad. Like, I'm a worse person than I was a year ago, and it's affecting people around me. And like, the spiral, like, and this was like the big one that was always around, you know. This was the one that was like, I'm never going to change, I'm never going to get out of this is awful. And you know, I tried all these little things. I'm going to try yoga every day. Let me try to, you know, I watched like some lady on YouTube, basic beginner yoga. Let me change my routine, like, but all of it was just like face value. It was just like, all right, I'm trying and I did the thing, but I didn't let it change my way of thinking. It didn't help, you know? And that's what a lot of people are struggling with right now with the quarantining and being locked inside. Like, maybe people do try something new. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then people like feel like kind of what we do. We feel bad about, oh, it didn't work because I'm a loser, because what
was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like why did I think I could do that? But you'll find a thing. It was like the what was I thinking thing. I had a screen in my house when I bought the house. One of the big windows, the screen was like ripped all the way across, and the previous owners had put a piece of like packing tape to hold it together, like one of these things they could have fixed to make it look nice, but they didn't. And I think I told the story, but I looked at it for a month, I looked at it for 2 months, and then finally I went to Lowe's and I'm like, I'm going to fix the screen. But the whole time I was thinking like, what am I thinking? I can't do that. I need to go have a guy do this. I'm not manly enough to do this thing. But because I was getting better at all these other things little by little, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And then I tried it and I did it. It was super easy. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought I couldn't do it, and then I did it. That means I can do another thing at some point. And these are these like milestone moments. These are like the save points. I told my therapist I'd look at them like in a video game. It's like a save point. Like anytime something bad happens, I can just like start from the screen. You know what I mean? Start from when I did that thing because I felt good when I did it. I don't have to revert all the way back to when Buddy died. You know, I don't have to revert all the way back to when like I didn't want to leave my house anymore, you know, because I just felt like everything was the worst.
And you identify that point though, like, so you're like, it's all because it's all been since Buddy passed away.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the game.
Like for me, like I don't have that point.
Yeah.
Like as far back as I can remember, it's like I've like lashed out and I've had like these crazy mood swings, and I've had like like in the elementary and middle school they said it was emotionally disturbed.
Right.
I don't think they use that term anymore. I think they diagnose you clinically now. Yeah. But it was like I don't know, I wish I could find that starting point, you know, and like understand why or what it was like.
I think you might have like a cache of all of it, like the things that you went through as a kid and then a teenager and then an adult. I think it's just like you just keep pushing it into a spot, you know, you just
shove it down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's just, you see the layers like the rings in a tree. Like it's all just like, it's all still in there.
I just kept eating it.
Yeah, could be.
Eating it.
Because it does manifest in different ways, and sometimes you don't notice. Sometimes you start a new thing, and it's just like, oh, why was I doing that for so long? I was punching walls and punching desks and destroying things that I liked for I don't know however long I was doing it, but it was months and months and months, and that was my manifestation.
Dude, that bookshelf story is so real to me, man. Like, just like you do something, like your depression makes you lazy, so you like do something half-assed.
Yep.
You end up breaking it, and then like you get like mad at yourself for breaking it, and then like you break it more.
Yeah.
Like it's like it was just like, oh man, a little glue would have fixed that, but now I'm gonna smash it to pieces
Yep.
because it's like it made me mad, and like, and now I'm angry and I'm smashing all this shit, and then it's like what, like it all goes back to just like I skipped a step I shouldn't have skipped, and once I became aware that I shouldn't have skipped that step,
Yep.
then like I internalized like, oh, I'm such a loser for skipping this step. How dare I? Like, who do I think I am? I'm such a piece of shit. And then it's just like worse and worse and worse. You know, it's just like, oh man, like, man, just take the stuff out of the drawer before you take the drawer out, man. Come on, man.
I catch myself doing it here and there, like cutting a corner. But again, like I said earlier, for me, I learned the lesson that like I don't want to feel that way, you know. And everybody's got to start somewhere. Your start. This is like a start for you to try to like find the ability to recognize that it's coming on and to like push it back a little bit. But it's hard.
I mean,
it's hard.
I can recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy thing right now is like, I told the lady in the for the appointment, and she couldn't find the appointment. Last week, I called the doctor because I wanted to request a wheelchair. I got to get an extra wide wheelchair because I can't, you know, because I'm too fat for existence. And then I call the lady, and she can't find the appointment. And like immediately,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, oh, this fucking, like I'm gonna have this cast on for the rest of my life, never healing. Like, just immediately, just
right.
And I felt it coming. I addressed it. I said to like Kathleen was right there. I was like, "That's great. That's all I need."
Yep.
You know, that's all I shouldn't have called. I knew I shouldn't have called. And she was like, dude, just relax. It's fine. Like, it's just, she'll find the appointment. It was too late.
Yep.
It was too late. I knew it. I recognized it, and it was already too late.
You should.
So, like, recognizing it's not the issue. Like, I get, as soon as it starts to happen, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And then I got to the appointment. My buddy went in to get the wheelchair. No wheelchair.
Jesus.
He comes out without a wheelchair. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, they said they can't find a wheelchair. So I call again. I'm like, look, I'm outside. I reserve a wheelchair. She's like, well, we don't have a wheelchair. What do you want me to tell you? And I'm like,
That's
ridiculous. You're a hospital. I'm like, bring out a fucking gurney. How is this
like
my?
Yeah, exactly. How is it your problem?
I called and reserved it. I told you I was going to be there.
Right.
Like, there's no communication, no nothing. No one can help. Security can't help. Trust me, no one can help. No one can help. I'm like, listen, I know there's a fucking wheelchair in this place. Find me a wheelchair. The woman's like, well, do you want to reschedule your appointment? And I'm like, bitch, it took me an hour to get from my apartment to here.
Jesus.
So I want to reschedule.
No, I don't. But
I want a wheelchair.
What? So none of this was in your.
Miraculously, they found a wheelchair.
Of course.
Of course.
But none of those things were in your control, right? Like when you call about the appointment, and it's like, oh, we don't have a record. And what I've been told and taught at this point is like, you recognize, right? You recognize it's coming on is one thing, but you have to recognize, can I control this? Can I control the fact that the woman on the other phone didn't do her job correctly or somebody dropped the ball, right? Was that in my control? No. So if it's not in my control, it's not worth going on a little spiral about it. You know what I mean?
When it's not in your control,
it's frustrating. You're allowed to feel
like you're alone. Like you're alone. You're swimming. You're like you're floundering. Like, what do I do?
I mean, the only things you could do was what? Call again and be like, yo, you need to try to control the situation, right? You need to try to get a little control on it. So you do the one thing that you can do: call, talk to somebody, right? Like with my basement. Let's relate it like that. My basement, it was leaking. What am I supposed to do? This is out of my control. I can't control this. I called an emergency team. I called the insurance company. That's all I could do. And they said, okay, well, we'll do our thing. So then they're in control of it. And all I have to do now is just like relax and be like, all right, well, this is the situation. You know what I mean? Like, there's no sense. Like, my mom and I have been going back and forth like, well, what could it be? It could be this. And what if the sellers like tried to cover something up? Are we going to have to sue somebody? Are we going to have to spend the money? We don't know what we're covered for. You know what I mean? Like, all these like things that could that could be the genesis of another like spiral. And I started a little bit like over the weekend. What are we, Sunday? Over the weekend, it's been a hectic couple days because I had the roof done yesterday. The insurance people came on Friday. Sorry. So the roof got done on Friday. Insurance people came. The emergency response people came. I had a house just full of stuff going on. And at the end, the insurance adjuster was like, all right, well, yep, your house is leaking. I was like, okay. Do you have anything new that I might need to know? He's like, well, I have to, give this information to this guy, and then this guy's got to come back, and then we're going to make an appointment, and then this guy's going to call you today. That guy didn't call me today, which was on Friday, right? And then the adjuster calls. He's like, hey, did you hear from so-and-so? No, I didn't hear from so-and-so. I've just been waiting. You told me to wait, so I was waiting. He's like, okay, I'll get in touch with him. I'll have him call you. The guy hasn't called me. And you know what? I could definitely pick up the phone and call, but at this point where I'm at now, this is the person's job, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I did what I was supposed to. The insurance company is what I pay for, monthly. So they need to do their job. There's going to be a point where obviously I'm going to have to pick up the phone because here we go, It's, I have to control the situation a little bit more, but I don't want to automatically every single time something's out of my control, panic and try to make it in my control. You know what I mean? Like that, you lose a little bit more, you actually lose more control of the situation if you start to panic. And like, that was a big flaw in my way of thinking for a long time, is that as soon as anything little tiny, like I have to get my car inspected. And like 3 months ago, I realized it was coming up, right? And I had no clue where my registration was. And I remember last time I had to get my car, I forgot my registration, but the guy was like, hey, I'll do it for you anyway, whatever, but just don't do it next time. Like one of those guys, like a bro kind of thing. I was like, all right, cool. But this time I wanted to make sure, because if I go somewhere different, I don't have it. It was like midnight, and the thought popped into my head, oh shit, where's my registration? I go rooting through boxes. I go downstairs, this, that, and the other thing. Then I go out to my car. It's in there, and I'm relieved. But it was that like little thought that like I was maybe out of control of something, and if I can't find it, what am I going to do? I got to get a new one, this, that, and the other thing. But I controlled it a little bit. I realized, that one wasn't a good example because I actually kind of spiraled a little bit. I was like, like all of the end of the world stuff. Like I have to call DMV, and this is a lease, and I don't know how to do this, and I'm going to get in trouble,
Get in trouble.
Getting in trouble. That's the one.
What are you getting in trouble with?
See? Right, exactly. Who's...
But it's always that. It's always
It's always that. It's always somebody's going to be disappointed, somebody's going to be mad, you're going to get in trouble, it's going to cost you money. Like everything these days. Everything these days is going to cost you money. Something's going to cost you money.
Government nickels and dimes us to death.
I have to get my car inspected every year. $35 every year. Is New York that way? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rhode Island is
registered every 2 years and inspected every year.
Inspection is such a ripoff.
Insurance is a ripoff.
Insurance is a ripoff too. Yeah.
Fucking scam. I've been paying insurance my whole adult life.
Uh-huh.
I got into one major accident where the car is totaled. Insurance company drops me.
Jesus.
I definitely paid you guys more than paid out. There's no reason.
Sorry, sir. This is out of our control.
Oh, dude, it's so sick. So sick. Can't. I don't even want to get started.
Well, we're coming up on 55 minutes, so I guess we should.
I mean, I could sum up real quick.
So what do you I feel like I mean I literally feel like I'm your therapist because I'm literally asking you questions that my therapist asked me,
No, it's good.
and I hope it's good because I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but that's the whole thing.
This was the intent, and we're killing it. This is exactly where we should be.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. It's just this week and stuff. It's if you feel it because you're gonna. It's obvious. You know what I mean. You're in a beginning stage of, well, you've been dealing with it your whole life, but this is the moment that you recognize, like, okay, let me get on top of it. Let me try to fix it. So just try to control the situation and don't let it. Think of the end result next time. Think of the end result of dropping the Tupperware.
What happened?
Think of the end result of dropping the Tupperware. Like, what was the end result?
It was fine.
It was fine, right?
I've always felt like I've been aware, and I've been working on it.
Yeah.
And like my temper's much better, and I feel like my mood swings in public. I've kind of like I've like compressed the dynamics on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Compressed the dynamics on it a little bit. But lately, man, like this with this whole thing, it's just like a new level. Like I always thought back to like 2011, 12 was really like a low point in my life. But like this is up there.
You'll get through it. There's an end. There's an end in sight, and you're gonna have your cast off, and you're gonna get up, and
And I'll be dancing.
So you'll be dancing. You're just gonna be doing pirouettes and shit.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
Anytime. You got it, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Video every Monday, 3 p.m. on Govs Radio. Usually live. This week we had a scheduling embargo. And Anchor.fm. If you're listening, then
what do you? Yeah. Why
am I telling you where
to? For?
You found it.
Good job.
Check me out on YouTube and check out Rich's Bread Company, bornfrompain.com.
Yeah, bornfrompainbakedgoods.com.
Baked goods, bornfrompainbakedgoods.com.
Yeah, if I could put any more words
Google
in that.
me on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, Rich.
Bye.
Bye.